Today on 3D Outdoors, we're going to be doing a review on the Bite Me Box ice fishing tip up. Stay tuned. All right, when I said ice fishing tip up, you're probably going, that doesn't look anything like any tip up I've ever seen. Tip-ups are usually the flat board things with a flag that pops up, or you've seen the round thermal ones that different companies sell, so you're like, this is not that. And it's not. I actually looked at these for a couple of years and was always tempted to buy one and try it out just because of the benefits it offered. Now, I'll go through a couple of the negatives first and get them out of the way. The biggest reason and the negative that I didn't buy one of these right away was the price. Shipped to my home, it was, I think, $134. And you'd be like, wow, I can get like a regular old tip up for like 10 bucks probably. And you could, but you wouldn't get what one of these has. Now, this is the flag mechanism right here. As you see, it's actually a metal stake with a ball on it. Now, another negative to these, when you get them, it's not assembled. You get like the box without the lid put on it here. The hinges aren't on it, none of the screws are in it, the flag's not on it, the ball isn't even on the post. You have to do all the assembly. So believe me, when I got the first one and I opened the box and I looked in and there's all these parts in there and I'm going, I just spent $134 and it's not even put together? Are you flipping kidding me? I couldn't believe it. Now, I mean, if you had this assembled, you'd have to ship it in a lot bigger box. But I was astounded. I was wondering why I'd spent that much money. And let's see here. I think it's this one here. There were a couple other issues. I think this one here, you can see, I think I ended up having to re-drill holes on this one. Yep, there's the holes didn't line up on the lid for the hinges on this one. They had evidently laid it backwards and drilled the holes. This one here, the top was actually still apart and I used Gorilla Glue to hold that together because this is like a molded plastic and this top piece is put in there. So I'm guessing they're having these mass produced somewhere else. I think they were originally made out of wood and now they're made out of this plastic. But now that the negatives are out of the way, the cost and a few of the manufacturing issues and the fact that you got to put them together, let's get into the positives. And you do see I have two of these here, right? If I bought one and I thought it was like, wow, that's not worth it, I wouldn't spend $134 getting a second one. And you can see I have a second one, so I obviously thought it was well worth the money and the time I had to take to put it together. Let's go through a little bit of why. We'll get the lid opened up on this one here. And I'm going to grab out the regular camera here, the handheld, and I'm going to give you a closer look at this. And I'll also roll in some fishing footage throughout this review so you can see me actually pulling some fish out with it. But I am totally impressed. We'll get this camera fired up over here and you'll see why. The first thing you see is the fact that it's open inside here. You can see there's the table. This sits over the hole like a tip up, and then what you do, you pack snow, slush from drilling your hole, whatever, around this. So your hole is right here in the middle. So that's inside. Now, one of the things they say is if it's like a warm day or a sunny day, like in the upper 20s and the sun's out, the heat of the sun on this black could keep it warm enough inside here if you pack snow around and seal it up, that the hole would stay thawed, which is a huge benefit. Because one of the things I always hate about standard tip-ups is you put them in and the rod's supposed to stay fluid and everything so that you can still catch fish. I have missed fish. We went and checked tip-ups halfway through the day at the end of the day and found fish just hanging on them, flag not tripped. That's always been a thing for me, is the unreliability of a regular tip-up. This here, if it keeps it warm from just the sun, That's a big plus to start with, right? But the other thing is this container right here in the side, and I'll pull this out here real quick and show you what's inside. You can see there's a cap on it. You pop that cap off, and I'll look inside there. That's charcoal. What you do is you put charcoals in the bottom. You fill it up part way with charcoal, and then you heat a couple up with like one of your MAP gas torches on your ice skimmer. I've got a couple metal ice skimmers, and then you drop them inside there, and they burn on top, and the heat will go down, and they'll gradually burn those coals through the day. And on the side here, there's some air holes, and you can adjust with this bar that you attach on the inside. And you have a certain regulated amount of air. You can see as I push that down, the air holes open, and you pull it up and it closes them. It also works as a hold open for the lid. So on a windy day, if you're in there going to get a fish out, you can flip that up and make sure the lid doesn't flop down closed on you. So you have this inside your Bite Me box burning, basically like a charcoal grill, so to speak, but you're regulating the air so only a certain amount of air gets through, and so it burns slowly just enough to keep that hole from freezing up. And then there is a clicker on here. This is one of them rattle reels, which is neat, but your line is going down your hole. Now you set your reel where you want it, and then your flag simply sets on top of that reel, like that. Now you can set the sensitivity with this weight, and by where you set this reel. You've probably seen I can move that reel back and forth. Now when you're fighting a fish and the hole's right here, you can just push that reel back out of the way while you're pulling the line back up. Easy peasy, and then you set it back out to where you want it for the pressure. And then when a fish bites and pulls on that reel, you see how that works there. Your flag on the outside flops up in the air. Now I was a little worried about would I be able to see that, and sight was never even really an issue. You probably heard that when that goes up, and we'll do that again here. That sound is very unique. It's not something you're going to hear in the lake. And every time I had a bite, I heard it. And you'll see right here, I'm pulling a fish up out of the ice with it. And it works great. Loved it so much, obviously, that I bought another one. It's a very unique design. You got to spend some time putting it together, and it is expensive. But the benefit that it gives, the fact that you can set that sensitivity such a way, I was catching 6-inch perch with it. When they wouldn't pull a bobber down, I have my bobbers cut, I have those foam bobbers, and I have them cut just so they're just barely under the top of the water. So they should have almost zero resistance pulling that down. When they wouldn't even take a bobber, this thing would go off. I mean, I'd set it so light so that it was just barely hanging on that reel, because I could move that reel forward and back like this and set that weight all the way out here at the end. So all that pressure just takes a little bit and boom, it goes. I was catching 6-inch perch on it. Any little bite would allow that to go free. And then obviously that reel is free spooling at that point, and the fish doesn't even know that it's got a hook in its mouth or any line. There's no felt drag or resistance, and so it just goes. And I got to tell you, I love these. And when you're done, you just go into your open your Bite Me box at the end of the day, and if there's still some charcoal in there, that's what this lid with the grooves on it for. You just pop that on there. It chokes out the air, and the charcoals go out. And obviously, if you don't want to transport it after that with the charcoal in there, the nice thing about it is charcoal is an organic material, so it's not, and you got some ash. So you're really not, it's not like the people that are leaving garbage out there. If you would happen to pour your coals out to make sure they're out and put snow or water on them or whatever. But, so it's just a great deal all the way around. And when you're done, you just bring your hook up. They give you this little cork that you screw on there. Put your hook in there, put your clicker on and just tighten it up a little bit, and that's not going to fall off. Just all in all, an amazing system that somebody thought of that and created that. And let me tell you, I'm actually pretty disappointed the ice season's pretty much over. Like I said, I debated for years on whether I would get them or not. And now this would be the only tip up I'd use. You could catch small fish, large fish, anything you want. You can set that sensitivity. You could have chubs down there. You could have minnows down there, whatever you want. And kind of bummed out because today I think it's going to get to 70 degrees here. It will get a little cooler again, but the ice around here is pretty much gone around the rivers in this area. Up north, there's still some around, but I'm just getting ready for the summer fishing now, but I am a little disappointed, and I'll be looking forward to next winter. I'll have these babies will be sitting there ready to go, and I'll be looking forward to putting them to work because they did well this year. Is it worth the $134 with shipping to get them to you? To me it is. It put a lot more nice perch on the ice for me this year and some walleyes, and so it was well worth it, and no freeze-up problems. They are a little bulkier. That is one of the downsides I didn't happen to mention earlier, was you can see how big they are. So you've got them setting in your, I have my side-by-side and I have them sitting up front with me in the side-by-side so they're not bouncing all over the place, but they do take up a little bit of room, so you got to plan for them. You know, the round ones, you just pile them up in a bucket and you could get like 5, 6 of them in a 5-gallon bucket up in a row. The stick ones, you just set them all in there, same deal, get a bunch of them in a 5-gallon bucket. Well, these are not going to fit in a 5-gallon bucket, and they're not going to stack like that. So you just got to set them next to each other and plan for it. But you know what? They work. So there you go. There is my review of the Bite Me Box Tip Up. This is Dan with 3D Outdoors, reminding you to get into the outdoors and enjoy everything it has to offer. If you like this video, make sure to hit the subscribe button at the bottom. See you next time.